In 2010, the Île Saint-Hubert incident took place on Île Saint-Hubert, an island located 226 miles east of French Guiana, where InGen conducted crossbreeding experiments at a secret research facility. The incident started with a Snickers wrapper getting stuck in an airlock to the door of the Distortus Rex pen. Scientists were inside of the pen getting samples from the dinosaur when the doors started initiating emergency closure. All of them made it out except the scientist Williams. He banged on the door. Another scientist, DeSanto, rushed over to the door to open it. She put the key in, but took it out shaking after seeing the D-Rex closing in. Williams begged for her to open the door, but she refused. The Distortus Rex grabbed Williams and killed him. 17 years later, in 2027, Earth's environment has proven to be inhospitable to dinosaurs. Much of the species now live near the equator, the last place on Earth resembling the prehistoric environments in which they once lived. Martin Krebs was in a traffic jam in New York caused by rogue Apatosaurus. Whilst in traffic, operations expert Zora Bennett was able to sneak into Krebs' car. The two talked about an upcoming mission that Krebs and his employer, Parkergenics Pharmaceutical Engineering, had recruited her for. Zora mentioned that they were meant to meet at another location. Bennett also said that Krebs wasn't hard to follow. Eventually, Zora exited the vehicle and Krebs followed her after parking the car. They talked about a mission to Île Saint-Hubert, a former InGen island. Krebs mentioned that the mission is illegal and they could face criminal prosecution, then revealing that a civilian is on the mission, although the civilian doesn't know this yet. He promises that Zora would be paid a high amount of money for the mission. The two then headed to a nearby museum where Dr. Henry Loomis is closing the dinosaur exhibition due to low attendances. Dr. Loomis had advised Parkergenics on paleodioxin, a drug intended to cure heart disease using dinosaur DNA. Whilst there, Krebs mentions Zora's mother. However, Zora says she doesn't like talking about personal issues. After Henry tells the Zora and Krebs that which dinosaurs they need blood samples from, the Titanosaurus from land, the Mosasaurus from the sea, and the Quetzalcoatlus from air, Zora is surprised to learn that they need samples from living creatures. While there, Krebs was able to convince Henry to come along. The next day, Zora, Henry, and Martin traveled to Paramaribo, Suriname, to recruit Zora's old friend Duncan Kincaid and arrange transportation. They meet Duncan at a local bar. He refuses to help them, but Krebs agrees to double Zora's pay and she will distribute the money evenly with Duncan and his crew. Duncan then agrees to take them to the island. They also meet Bobby Atwater, the chief of security for the Essex, and leave for the island. Meanwhile, Ruben Delgado takes his daughters Teresa and Isabella along with Teresa's boyfriend Xavier Dobbs on a sailing trip across the Atlantic Ocean when they are shipwrecked by the Mosasaurus. A few hours later, the crew approaches Île Saint-Hubert to get the first of the blood samples from the Mosasaurus M142. Whilst traveling, Zora and Duncan talk about their pasts and then eventually get a few miles away from the Mosasaurus to extract the blood. However, they hear the Delgado's Mayday signal, and Duncan diverts the boat to rescue the stranded family. The Delgados question why the crew are there, but no one tells them why. The crew then see they are close to the Mosasaurus and prepare to extract its blood. Zora is able to successfully extract blood from the Mosasaurus with help from Henry. Suddenly, the Mosasaurus returns to attack the boat accompanied by a group of Spinosaurus, demonstrating symbiosis. One of the Spinosaurus kills Bobby after he fired darts at them. Knowing the boat is going to crash, Zora and Henry prepare to secure the supplies. Teresa tries to call the radio for help, but Martin attempts to stop her, resulting in her falling off the boat. Xavier jumps in after her, followed by Ruben and Isabella. Duncan is able to lose the Mosasaurus in the shallow waters after a chase and instructs everyone to jump off the boat. The team swims to the beach with Zora and Henry pulling the supplies from the sea. Nina, a crew member, attempts to pull supplies on the beach but is ambushed by another Spinosaurus. Everyone witnesses her demise but are unable to help her. Sometime later, Zora argues with Krebs about the island, which they learn that it was an R&D site for Jurassic World, and states that he didn't tell them everything. The team then leaves the beach and heads into the jungle. After a while, the team crosses a swamp. Zora asks Krebs if he had anything to do with Teresa falling overboard. Krebs says he doesn't know what happened and denies that he had anything to do with her falling. While in the swamp, Zora feels something swim near her leg and tells everyone to be careful. An eel lunges out the water and startles Krebs, but he is unharmed. The Delgados swim through an underwater cave and arrive at the island. Reuben commends Xavier for showing bravery by jumping in after Teresa. While searching for the abandoned InGen settlement, Isabella befriends an aqualops which she names Dolores. At night, Xavier heads to the forest to use the bathroom and a pair of velociraptors stalk him, only for one of them to be ambushed by a mutodon, a mutated raptor-pterosaur hybrid. They then find a river with a half-eaten Parasaurolophus carcass on the other bank. Teresa swims to the other side and finds a raft in the emergency shed, which she slowly pushed towards the river, but a Dilophosaurus emerges from the undergrowth. Just as it is about to spit venom at her, something causes it to flee. A sleeping Tyrannosaurus rex beneath the bushes. Despite Reuben and Xavier warning her not to, Teresa opens the raft, which wakes up the Tyrannosaur. All of them rush to the raft and paddle away as the Tyrannosaurus pursues them downriver. The family are only able to escape by hiding beneath some rocks, causing the Tyrannosaurus to lose interest. Several hours later, the team tracks a herd of Titanosaurus in a valley. They are all amazed by the sight of the gigantic herbivores and watch a pair mate. Henry and Zora are able to extract the Titanosaurus's blood successfully and move on to the Quetzalcoatlus, where they would have to extract a sample from an egg, as the Quetzalcoatlus is a large and dangerous flying carnivore. As the team prepares to enter the nest, they notice there is an ancient temple with unknown origin. Zora, Henry, and Leclerc rappelled down the cliffside, and they begin extracting blood from an egg. However, an adult Quetzalcoatlus arrives at the nest and attacks them. Leclerc, who was on the side of the cliff, is able to distract the pterosaur. He attempts to climb up the cliff with assistance from Krebs and Duncan, but is swallowed whole by the Quetzalcoatlus before he can reach the top. While inside the temple, Henry is thrown from the cliffside. He is able to activate the parachute on the extractor, but his rope breaks, sending him falling straight into a pool. Zora rappels down the cliff and they regroup with Krebs and Duncan, who arrive from a secret passage. Sometime later, the team observed the abandoned compound and see the helipad. They proceed to the compound, and Krebs and Zora argue about the family, with Krebs wanting to leave them and get to the helicopter. Zora grabs the sample and walks away from him. The team then arrives at a gas station. Zora, Henry, and Duncan then reunite with the Delgados and check if they're okay, with Teresa visibly angry, asking where Krebs is. Krebs threatens the rest at gunpoint and Teresa asks why he let her fall. Krebs denies allowing her to fall, saying he tried to save her. Zora asks why Krebs has a gun. He tells everyone to stay calm and wait for the helicopter. Isabella then interrupts the group and tells them to be quiet as something is approaching them from the distance. The compound's power then comes on. Suddenly, 2 mutodons appear and chase the group, with Henry and Duncan heading to the lab. The Delgados hide inside the convenience store, while Zora and Krebs remain outside. One mutodon enters the store through a hole in the ceiling, but the Delgados are able to escape through an underground tunnels. Zora then runs to a jeep parked near the refueling area and hides underneath it alongside Krebs. Krebs shoots at the other mutodon but fails to do any damage. Zora is able to grab the gun from Krebs, who is then thrown from one side of the vehicle to other. Zora stays under the jeep, but Krebs sees the rescue helicopter, grabs the keys, and starts the vehicle. The rescue helicopter circles the island, and Henry is able to get their attention with a flare gun. But the D-Rex emerges from the fog and destroys the helicopter. Zora witnesses the Mutodon enter the tunnels via the drain, then shooting and killing it. The survivors come across the exit but can't open it as the other Mutodon finds them. Isabella is able to squeeze through the bars and opens the gate despite the D-Rex lurking in the background. They escape from the second Mutodon, with Zora kills it by shooting it in the tunnels. After closing the gates, the group witnesses Krebs getting devoured by the D-Rex. Krebs' severed hand falls to the ground alongside the briefcase, which Zora is able to grab. The survivors then head to the docks and start to figure out how to access the boat, which is on a crane. However, the D-Rex arrives. Duncan is able to lure the D-Rex away with a flare, and with Ruben's help, Zora is able to successfully get the boat into the water. They all board the boat, and Zora shouts Duncan's name, but Henry convinces Zora to come with him. They are able to escape the D-Rex and eventually find Duncan in the sea and rescue him. Zora and Henry decide to give the samples to the world without a patent. They watch a pod of dolphins as the sun rises. Jurassic World Rebirth 2025 is a thrilling continuation of the beloved Jurassic franchise, set in a future where Earth's climate has largely become inhospitable for dinosaurs, forcing the surviving creatures to remain in isolated equatorial habitats. The plot centers on a high-stakes expedition led by covert operative Zora Bennett, played by Scarlett Johansson, and paleontologist Dr. Henry Loomis to retrieve vital biomaterial samples from the island of Île Saint-Hubert, a former InGen research facility where genetically modified and mutated prehistoric dinosaurs live. The samples extracted from the three largest prehistoric creatures, Mosasaurus, Aquatic, Titanosaurus, Terrestrial, and Quetzalcoatlus, Avian, hold the key to a revolutionary treatment for heart disease. However, the mission quickly becomes perilous as the team faces attacks from aggressive dinosaurs such as the Spinosaurus and a terrifying mutated hybrid called Distortus rex, which ultimately decimates much of the team. Parallel to the main mission, a civilian family becomes stranded on the island after a Mosasaurus attack, and their struggle to survive intersects with the expedition, adding emotional depth and survival dynamics to the story. The narrative explores themes such as humanity's manipulation of nature, corporate greed, and the ethical dilemmas tied to biotechnology and medical breakthroughs. The film is marked by its intense action sequences, spectacular visual effects showcasing massive dinosaur creatures, and compelling performances, especially from Johansson, who portrays a resourceful and morally conflicted protagonist. Director Gareth Edwards brings a darker, grittier tone to this chapter, emphasizing both the awe-inspiring and dangerous aspects of resurrected prehistoric creatures. Jurassic World Rebirth balances heart-stopping suspense with moments of genuine human connection, all while questioning the impact of humanity's scientific overreach. The story concludes on a note of cautious optimism, as the cure derived from dinosaur DNA is promised to be made openly accessible, symbolizing a hope that ethical choices may prevail amid chaotic consequences. In essence, the film is a gripping action-adventure that reinvigorates the Jurassic saga by focusing on survival, environmental consequences, and the moral price of scientific progress. Our dearest friends, what do you think of this movie review and analysis? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to be part of our family. See you in the next video. Until we meet again.